Well, not since the end of the Cold War has the threat of nuclear warfare been a topic of conversation around so many dinner tables. So what should we be telling our kids to make them feel better about a threat that may or may not be real?
That's our Family First discussion for today. Matt Scott has more on that.
All started with a very innocent question from my youngest teenager. Do we need to worry about nuclear war here in Connecticut? And so that got me thinking, what are we talking about with our kids? And it's not so easy just to have a conversation. There are different ways you have to broach the topic very delicately, especially with young ears, especially in a day and age where the way that they hear about news going all the way on the other side of the planet comes here. Take a look. While the fear of an escalating war between Russia and Ukraine, and maybe just about every other country, continues to dominate headlines, how do you explain all of this to your children?
I think the bottom line is that kids are coming up with that conversation on their own. Quite often we give the advice of, well, just wait until they bring it up and then address their concerns.
Dr. Jeff Gardere and I remember our history, but our knowledge of nuclear war came from history books. Kids today, that's another story.
But never have we had this play out in real time on social media. It's a whole game changer, isn't it?
That is a great point. Unlike the things that you and I saw with regard to war, videotaped sorts of things, we see it after it's happening. You know, we're getting newscasts at a certain time of the evening. Now we see this 24 hours a day, and it's not just coming from networks, it's coming from cell phones, it's coming from individual citizens, of course, and therefore it's unfiltered, it's raw, it can be horrific, and that's why it's really important for us to not wait for our kids to bring it up, because they are part of this net, they are part of what's going on in social media. So they're already talking about it.
So when they bring it up, what do we tell them?
A study was done that shows that kids know when we are not telling them the truth. And the truth is we don't know what's really happening or what may happen. And that's why we need to be honest with them and let them know that we don't have control over what's going on in the world right now, and that we don't have all the answers, but we will try to reassure them with honesty.
In other words, in a world that seems to have events going out of control, reassuring them of what we can control is key.
But we want them to know we will do our best to protect them at home.
And in that effort to control the message a little bit, what you can do, according to the doctor, is watch the news with your children. And that way, when they have questions right on the fly, you can do your best to interpret it. Because as long as you're watching the same stuff together, they're not seeing other things that may be right, may be wrong, may be disinformation. And you can also keep a lid on stuff that maybe isn't right for their little eyes.
Yeah, and watching it right there with them helps, because sometimes you think you're going to get a chance to talk to them, but then life is busy and then you forget. So
Yeah, seize the reins while you can.
yeah, Matt, thank you.
Thank you. All right, plenty to get to here on Fox 61.